Hey, we're back.
We're back.
That's been a minute.
Very big minute.
You know what happens? I feel like anyone with children and lives go through periods of time where it's not happening. Whatever it is that you're feeling productive on, it's just not happening.
Well, I know for me, it's been a nonstop list of what new hobbies can I start, and then I forget that, hey, we have this cool thing going.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit of that. It was a little bit of like, I don't know, it just felt like, really the time between winter and spring is like energetically an exhausting time because your body's going from like this hibernation mode, right? Where we just want to be cozy and we want to chat and drink some tea and kind of do that to all of a sudden like this new life. And that takes energy, a significant amount of energy to like put into it. Because now all of a sudden we're thinking about summer and we're thinking about vacations and we're thinking about camps and we're thinking about what are we doing with our kids. End of the year stuff. What else, should we try signing Billy Bob up for this or that, and is it going to be supportive and successful and a nightmare? So it takes a lot of energy, and so I think any good healthy adult takes a look at all the tasks that's on their plate, and they kind of have to pick and choose like what needs to take a back seat for a little bit, and that was us, and that was for this. That's okay.
Yeah. But on that note, I am Jennifer.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is the Behavioral Plan Podcast. Episode something.
Oh, let's just say episode 1. Let's call this season 2.
All right, season 2.
Because we're in charge.
Yeah.
we get to make the choices here.
Yes. Woo. We have been up to some stuff though.
Yeah. I mean, we've been doing stuff. We've been cooking ideas and participating in activities, and
we have some big ones. We had Fraser Festival, which I think it was successful.
I mean, I hate that it was so successful. And I only say that because I have such a bad taste in my mouth for Frasier itself.
Yeah.
And that's like my personal experience. I know there's a number of people who have had amazing results with their services and their supports. Right. So like, I don't want to, degrade that. Me personally, in my very short, because I kept it short, experience with them was just awful. Do not recommend. 0 out of 5. But I love a swag bag. I love a festival. I love supporting my local autism community. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, and I feel like, at least in the bags that came home to my house, it didn't feel like a lot of bric-a-braca.
There's not a lot of bric-a-braca. I mean, my boys decided to, and your oldest also participated in this, but revisiting the balloon station with disguises, apparently.
Oh.
To try and get more balloons. So I went home with a lot of like environmentally hazardous material.
Sure.
And that's how I view balloons. But my boys love them. Not a lot of swag we came home with, but we came home with a few fidgets that I'm like, I would keep this in my bag. Like, my 10-year-old got like the spinny fidget that also has like the pop bubble. I think it's in my bag right now because I was like, you know what?
Interesting combo.
Yes, look. So it's got so it's in the shape of like a 5-star petal, okay, or flower,
the fidget
or whatever.
Spinner with the poppets.
And then it's got poppets on each of the end, and it's like tie-dye color, and each of the poppet is a different color, so it's like visually very loud. But it's a really decent quality fidget spinner. So I'm not complaining about that.
No.
But more than anything, sometimes these events can feel like, well, the information I got at the booths and the swag that we got outweigh the overall experience.
Yeah.
And this felt like the overall experience was amazing in comparison to like the few things. My top things that I really enjoyed from it was how everything was labeled.
Everything was labeled and organized based off of
The senses.
the
senses.
senses.
8. I think it's 8 senses. So there was an olfactory. It was a flower station where you could smell flowers and get a little bouquet of flowers, which I thought was...
And the prizes there were scented prizes.
Yeah, right.
I think we got scented Play-Doh or something.
Sure. And then there was a movement one, right? So there was a proprioception area, vestibular area, which was kind of cool. They had like
So cool.
spitting equipment mostly for that one. And then there was tactile, which some of that was that like trailer that had chalk, and it had the 2 sensory tables where it had dirt and one kinetic sand in the other.
Yeah.
They also had a stash of candy that my children ate the majority of, so thank you for that. What else? There was the taste, right? Like there was
free cotton candy.
Free cotton candy, which wasn't bad. They had like a frost your own cookie station.
Yeah.
They had the silent dance party. So it was headphones cool. with a DJ that then you could dance to the music, but no one else heard it. So that was really cool.
That was really cool. The stage next to it, though, there was performances which my daughter was very intrigued with. I personally was a little overwhelmed with how loud it was at times, but I know she was locked and engaged for a while on that one.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
There was the therapy dogs. Oh, animals, because it was dogs. There was a bunny. There was. I didn't see the cats. So I was a little bummed out about that. There was puppies.
Face painting, tattoos.
A rock climbing wall, like big.
Yeah,
and then they had like adaptable bicycles that you could like try. My kids wanted nothing to do with it, of course. But you could then test it out. There was like people on hand to like help you kind of orientate yourself on those things. It, like overall, like the space was just big enough. The way everything was. Oh, the big bouncy house that our kids did 1,000 times. But like the way everything was laid out, the space in which it was contained in, the way it was organized. I have no concept of how many people were there, but it never got to the point where I was like, oh, now this is too crowded for me.
Right.
And I just assumed it would be like that. And we showed up 15 minutes before it was technically open, and they were like, we don't care, just come on in. And I was like, awesome, thank you, because my kids don't wait.
Right.
Neither does my mother, which was a choice. And so we got there 15 minutes ahead of time, and then we left 15 minutes before it closed.
We were there, yeah.
Never have we ever participated in something, whether it be an absolute preferred place to go to, and made it and made it a third of the day.
Right.
Like suddenly I was like, what is everyone's? Oh, we're all hangry because it's lunchtime, and I didn't plan ahead because I never would have assumed that we would make it that long. And they had food there, but my kids were like, meh.
Right.
And I was like, really? I just want some chicken tenders. They smell so good. Why don't you guys why can't you eat like a 90s kid every once in a while?
Why does Grandma keep buying these dry pretzels?
Oh, for real.
Stop. No, I thought it was great. There was a lot of information that I picked up for some of our other headspaces that we're working on, which was fantastic. Did a little digging around and talking to people, which I feel like not every event has stuff for adults.
Yeah.
And they didn't have like a crazy amount by any means, but it felt nice that there was still some items there or some businesses there. And it wasn't just like an organization trying to get you to sign up to be a part of their
Yeah.
whatever.
Like this is how we market. This is how we get new
Yeah.
clients or new customers. Yeah, I also appreciated that. It was more like a sensory experience and being able to come together and do your thing, and then as a bonus, you gained more resources
Mhm.
to add to your already big list of things that you have. But my favorite find from it was the lady that was selling weighted zip-up hoodies.
Mhm.
They were like black and had all these little pockets. You could take them out and in, and they were well made. And then she also was selling superhero and princess outfits that were weighted.
Yeah, I saw.
And I was just like, man, that's awesome.
So
And not
cool.
just for like little toddlers, like
No.
they went up in size.
Yeah.
Like easily a 10-year-old could fit some of those.
Mhm.
And I'm sure the company wouldn't bat an eye if you like put in a special request like, hey, I need the one the size for a 16-year-old, or I need this one for
Right.
the size of me.
Right. Right, because at a lot of those events, they kind of have to just bring.
Just a few things, yeah.
Right,
Yeah, you
right.
you don't have to.
Can't haul your whole entire.
Well, and they, they're priced to match what it's worth, right? Like the
Yes,
cost to make
absolutely.
it, and then make money so you can stay in business. So not everyone's got $60 in their pocket
Fair.
or bank account.
Fair.
So, and then some people have like budgets that they're working with that like,
Yeah.
okay, well, let me see if I can get it approved first before I
Yeah.
purchase it.
No,
But yeah, that was a great event that we went to.
I think one of my favorite things that really stuck out to me, and it has nothing to do with the booths and stuff. So with the volunteers, which they had an enormous amount of volunteers.
Yes.
That was amazing to see the community come together. But some of the volunteers that were walking around, their T-shirts said sensory support team. And I thought that was really cool because in my head I'm going, oh, okay, so like I'm gonna look around to see if there's a shirt that says that near me if I'm in a situation where we need that to happen.
Yes.
Right? Like, because we're juggling more than one child.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have other people with us that can support.
We're
The
juggling
children.
more than one child and a mom.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna say it because I don't think she listens to this anyway.
No, probably not.
Not
at this point.
no,
Not
gosh,
this
no.
far into our
No,
project.
absolutely not. But the amount of times I had to say, hey, like, I'm gonna call you out on how you're trying to
Control this.
control and micromanage my child. And it got to a point because it's just we're on repeat all the time when we say stuff like that to her, and not just her, a lot of people in our family.
But like at this point, it would be nice if we didn't have to with her.
Right.
But
then I finally, what made her finally, at least when I was around, stop, is I was like, this is the type of place where like our children are encouraged to be 1,000% themselves. Do I want them to be that everywhere? Yes, of course. But like, of all places for you to be so stressed out,
this isn't it.
like maybe you should take a look around and see if there's some calming, joyful things that you could be doing.
Like she just was so hung up on, there's a lot going on there, and that's for a podcast about family dynamics and therapeutic practices. Not necessarily this one,
No,
but I think that it brings up a good point because I think parents and caregivers of neurodivergent children often run into situations where they're looking for support, they're looking for understanding, and then they're looking for those opportunities where you get to like loosen your belt.
Right.
That feels aggressive. But you know what I mean? Like when you eat so much and you loosen your belt and you can allow yourself to expand, right? So like you can allow yourself to relax.
Right.
And the Fraser Festival was one of those places where our 10-year-old and our 8-year-old went around
No idea where he was.
unchecked.
No idea where he was.
They just like went around and had their own festival together, and they lived their best life doing it.
And I was so happy for them, but there were times where I was like, where is he? I want to experience it with the older kids. I don't want to experience it with the littles.
But think about the confidence that they gained,
Absolutely.
the autonomy that they experienced, the independence. Think about the positive reinforcement that, like, I got to experience a festival, right? Because in their eyes, it's a festival like us growing up and going to whatever, like a school festival or like, not quite like a carnival, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, like 4th of July little thing.
A little bit, yeah, like without maybe all, oh no, there was a fair amount of food. But they were able to have that and enjoy themselves to their fullest, and then like that is an experience that gained. So now when they go and experience something that isn't as supportive, that doesn't allow them to be their full authentic selves, that isn't as safe and secure mentally and physically, they will have this positive experience to compare it to and say that's not good enough for me. Like what you're providing isn't inclusive because it doesn't include me. And that like then hopefully paired with like self-advocacy skills that we're trying to build as well will then have them feel like they can express why it doesn't support them and why they don't feel included in that space, that then hopefully is a catalyst for change. And whether that's by their hands or by the community hearing them and saying, you're absolutely right, we didn't make this inclusive for you. Let's change that. And like what a beautiful thing to create. And I like never would I have ever considered going to a Frasier festival, but beyond my personal feelings, it like to me seemed like, and I'm not alone, my friend Katie also was like, hey, let me know like how it goes. Like we've never gone because we just assumed it would be too overwhelming, too overstimulating, too busy, and that our child, who's typically an avoider, would have an awful time, right? And I was like, I will definitely let you know. And she kept checking in with me, and I kept responding to her things. And like at no point was I like, oh, this is the moment, it's time to wrap it up because of the environment. It just simply was because we've reached a max we've never experienced before.
We need to eat.
And it was also about to close. And so why not leave a little early to miss the major crowd? It
was good.
Yeah.
Sam had recommended it the year prior, and it just didn't work for us to go. And it wasn't until after, and then part of me was like, oh, it's just another one. Like I don't have the mental capacity to like energize myself to make it happen. But I'm glad she told me about it and shared pictures and stuff, because I was like, oh, this is like a thing.
Like it's well thought out.
Yes.
Well decorated. Like top to bottom, I'd give it 5 out of 5. The whole experience of 5 out of 5.
It was great.
So if you have been hesitant to participate in it, or if you're a family that wants to bring their kids to something and experience something that they wouldn't normally experience, and have a good time and be in a community that like they would gain knowledge and experience from, bring your little neurotypical children. Bring them so then they can experience, because all kids benefit from sensory information.
Absolutely.
So it's not like this is exclusively for children who either, avoid or seek these certain sensations. It benefits all brain development happens sensorily. All of it. Right?
But,
like truly all of it. And then we refine and learn how to adapt to certain situations and gain information that way. But your brain from birth to 6 is doing nothing but being a sponge, collecting all this information sensorially, and it's important to expose them to as much as possible within I shouldn't have to explain to you, don't expose them to violence, don't expose them to things that would be harmful. But like maybe I do. Clearly.
But
there's been a parent or two I've met.
But
or had.
Or some of us still trying to heal our own.
Yes. Childhood wound.
Yeah, I mean, even if, like you said, even if it's a neurotypical child with the senses, all I can think about as you're saying all of that, with that sensorial input, all I think about is self-awareness and just really learning how to support yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as like, hey, I would have loved to take all of these life skill classes as a teenager,
yes,
emerging into the world
yes.
of college, right?
Yes. Because not everyone has a parent
that's teaching them W-2s and how to
yeah.
do all these other things.
Yeah.
Like, I would have loved that.
Yes.
And so it's that fine line of, yes, this is set up for you. This is set up for us. But creating that third space where it's just a blend. I mean, it'd be nice, right? And hopeful that everything is a third space.
Yes.
But that's like...
No, and there's something to be said about, like... So, kind of branching related, but branching a little bit away from this festival, is my youngest, who's 4, just had his end of school year celebration.
Yeah.
And it was outside. Each of the Children's House classrooms have a song that they sing, and then the kindergartners graduate, and so they go up there and the teacher says really nice things, hands them flowers and a little certificate, blah blah blah, and then you kind of hang out in this field afterwards and the kids play and the parents talk and it's community.
Yeah.
Well, it's my youngest who's graduating. My 6-year-old, who was there for a short time last year, was asked to leave beforehand and didn't get to experience that. And in my hatred, I was like, well, as a family, we're not participating, because I was real mad about that.
Right.
Because he had built beyond the structure of the school and the structure of the classroom and the expectations placed on him to be able to function within that, he had created a community. He had been accepted into a community.
Yeah.
So I was mad about that, but then I
did what you had to do.
Some guides left, and then the people who remained were like, let's try summer, let's do it. And he did it, and he was very successful and got to continue building these relationships with the children that he had started to build relationships with. Fast forward to this celebration that just happened last week. Here he is reuniting with a lot of them who are now graduating as kindergartners. Yeah. And one child saw him and hadn't seen him in a long time, ran up to him, gave him a hug. Another child whom he had really, really bonded with was like, game, let's play. And they were playing, and then my 6-year-old cried when he realized that this child is graduating and I'm not going to see him ever again. And I watched my children, who normally have a really difficult time playing with a large group of kids. Yeah. I watched them play effortlessly with children, and this is a school that I sub at, so I know the children who are neurotypical, and I know the children who are not, whether they have gotten the diagnoses yet. But when you know, you know. And so here they are, all of them playing and adapting and being flexible, and then my 6-year-old kind of got a little rowdy and got knocked down, and you could tell that he was and all the kids who knew him were pause, wait, let him do his thing, and then not even verbally being are you okay? Right. It's almost as if they knew if they were to ask that, you're crossing a line, you're building an awareness, right? And so they just paused and waited for him to initiate play again, and then boom, they're playing again. And I'm and here I am in very few spaces am I allowed to be the parent that stands and has a conversation with another parent? Right,
what is that?
Without worrying about, now, does that mean that the whole time I was able to do that?
Absolutely.
No. Does that mean that my 4-year-old, who on his way to get his diagnoses, didn't do things that then I had to I'm not gonna chase him. Yeah. He, it's got, I'm just gonna claim it. He's got demand avoidance, and the more you try to the more he perceives a threat, and it just. But my 10-year-old is a safe person, was able to kind of corral him back. I was able to do a vibration chewy rolling on his foot.
Right.
Never would have thought to do that, but it worked, and he was able to like contain himself through the program. And there was a few elopement once he decided he was done.
Right.
There was a few like, I'm just gonna start walking through the parking lot and out this gate. But in general, 90% of the time I was able to enjoy myself.
That's so great.
Yeah. And like what's nice is that the Fraser Festival was a really positive experience, and then I had this like a very isolated, here's a mixed community of different abilities, and I was able to not feel like an outcast as a parent. I was able to not feel like I had to like rally up, no one's gonna understand, let's go, you know, and I'm protecting myself and I'm protecting my children, and so that was just really great. And that was also on the heels of Art World.
My favorite stories. I so wish I was there. Some of my stories too.
Sometimes it's a little bit like activity roulette.
Yeah.
How's this gonna go? And my 4-year-old, his elopement was really bad, and then we like kind of got it even Steven or like balanced, or like you could kind of predict the impulse when it's about to happen. And now we're just like totally back. Reverse.
Right.
And that's fine. That's the way progress and development goes. It's not linear. It's a spider web. Where you just like follow a thread and you're like, oh, I'm over there now. Oh, I'm over there now. And oh, I'm back over here now. And that's okay. I think when you change your perspective from like the expectation is you go from 0 to 100 and you look at it more like a day-to-day meet your child where they're at.
Absolutely.
And not place like not try to find the fix it.
Yeah.
How do I fix this? How do I fix you? You know, which gives me the ick, which makes me want to like tear my skin off my body. But it's there. And I don't know if it's there because generationally that's been a thing, and it's so ingrained in our, you know, collective consciousness of like that's what a parent does. They fix you.
They fix you.
That's what when you're existing in a neurotypical system and you don't fit it, you're supposed to be fixed, right? And so in many ways, us, the people listening to this podcast, we're breaking out of that. We're doing our best to like dismantle that and exist outside of that. So I was just like, I'm not going to intentionally plan to go to Art World. I live in a space where like literally we take 3 steps and now we're on the path of Art World. So like we were in it whether we wanted to or not. And I certainly wasn't going to like attempt driving around and reparking.
Nope. So, someone might drive over a curb to steal the spot from you.
Exactly. Exactly. So I just was like, you know, if the kids are like, let's go outside, let's go for a walk, we'll do it. If they don't want to, then we won't. And so Saturday, we had made it through the whole day. We just kind of bummed around the house, kind of did our own thing. And then all of a sudden at like 3 o'clock, my 6-year-old's like, let's go for a walk. And I was like, can't say no to the 6-year-old when he wants to do that. So I was like, let's do it. Where should we walk to? We got to have a plan.
Yeah.
Where are we walking to? Because remember, there's a festival happening around us. And so my kids were like, let's go to the big metal ballpark, is what they call it. It's Sheridan Park in Northeast Minneapolis. And so I was like, okay, let's do that. That's not a far walk. I got this wagon for soccer practice. So like, we'll bring did I bring the wagon that day? I did not bring the wagon that day. We just walked.
You talked about it, because when I was on the phone with you, I heard a whole spiel about one of the kiddos was like, oh, and then if this happens, then we'll ride in the wagon. And
that was Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Saturday, I chose not to do the wagon. We just walked. And Alaya and my 6-year-old decided to pick up trash, because he's been obsessed with doing that lately. Earth Day really set a message in his brain, and now he wants to follow through. So he has this little like claw grabber toy, and then we grabbed a garbage bag and for the first couple blocks, it was just about picking up trash.
Mm-hmm.
And my 4-year-old did okay holding my hand and staying nearby.
Sure.
But my 4-year-old also had to talk to every person within 2 arm lengths around him.
Mm-hmm.
And it went something like this. Hi, my name is fill in the blank. And I live just right over there. And we're going to this park. And I go to school right over there. I'm in this room. And like detailed information.
Right.
And then the next person. Hi, here's my name. We're going to the park. And then maybe someone would respond. And if someone would respond, then the other information wouldn't come out.
Right.
But like if you were like not really engaging,
Right.
he'd give you all like down to a social security number, which is adorable and cute, and
Right.
everyone smiled and laughed. But how incredibly dangerous is that?
It's extremely dangerous.
And so as the
Extremely.
parent, I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, you're showing me how dangerous you are.
Mm-hmm. 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 Because
Your
that's-
level of risk assessment.
Absolutely.
And granted, developmentally, a 4-year-old's not going to know that.
Right.
But at the same time, I work around other neurotypical 4-year-olds, and they don't do that.
Right.
Hi, my name is, and that's about where it
Right.
ends.
Right.
That's about where
Look at my skirt.
we're going to
Or
go
look at
get
my
ice
dress.
cream.
Yeah.
And and my 4-year-old does do that sort of things.
Absolutely.
But it was he was really showing me like
Mhm.
where the limit isn't.
Right.
Right.
Tell me where the candy and the puppy in your van is,
Oh,
and let's go.
Bye.
Right. Pink Pony Club.
I mean, it's not so much like worrying about the predator finding my child. It's my child finding the predator
yes,
because he's
absolutely.
combing the whole street trying to
Right.
find him.
He's trying to find someone to be his friend.
I just need someone to take me some more candy. Yeah, he did. He asked a few
Oh.
people, do you like Pink Pony Club? He also sang Who Let the Dogs Out for a solid 3-4 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
He also carried, this was the second day when we had the wagon. And I'll get to the wagon here in a second. But the wagon, he brought around a stuffy to then, like, everyone had this is Wolfie. Please meet Wolfie. My name is this. This is Wolfie. I love him. I love my Wolfie so much. And for the most part, people engaged and thought he was adorable and responded.
When
Have a
did,
good time,
when did
Wolfie.
Wolfie became the 4-year-olds? Wasn't it
Everyone has
the
a Wolfie.
6-year-olds? Everyone has a Wolfie. Okay.
Everyone has a Wolfie.
Okay.
The 10-year-old got the Wolfie when he was like 20 months.
Sure.
And it was a medium-sized Wolfie from the zoo in Seattle, the Woodland Park Reserve or whatever. It's a beautiful zoo. So that's the OG Wolfie.
Okay.
And then when the 6-year-old got old enough to recognize I love Wolfie and need my own Wolfie, he got one, I think, at the Lake Superior Zoo up north,
Sure.
near Duluth. And he got the small Wolfie.
Mm-hmm.
The Wolfie that we know to be Wolfie because the
The
6-year-old
Wolfie.
brings Wolfie around
Yes.
everywhere, to school, to
That's his
aunties, to everywhere, right?
Mhm.
And then the 4-year-old reached a point where I need one too.
Sure.
And at the Minnesota Zoo, got him the little mini guy, which is currently in my bed. And so, and because the 4-year-old is doing a whole lot of copying,
Mm-hmm.
personality, mannerisms, and whatnot from the 6-year-old,
Right.
the mini Wolfie has become very important.
Yes,
Anyway,
of course.
came with us because
Had to highlight the
because-
importance of Wolfie.
bigger Wolfie, well, yes, because
Mhm.
that bleeds into other things we could talk about. But both Wolfies went with us on the second day, which is where the wagon came in. So my 4-year-old did a lot of like almost elopement, and it was
Right.
like there's a few meltdowns because I had to contain him to keep him safe, and then like he punched me in the face, punched me in the throat, and like let me tell you how much people don't understand what they're seeing.
Don't understand.
They don't understand what they're seeing. They also don't offer help.
Nope.
But they'll offer their stank ass face And they'll offer their, I'm gonna cross the street to avoid passing you.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna offer all that energy
all
that
the
you know, like, and like I take anti-anxiety meds, so
Yeah.
I know when I'm feeling your energy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not creating it anymore within me.
Right.
I'm feeling it off of you, and I really don't give a fuck.
Right.
My priority's my kid.
Right.
But so the second day, I was like, well, okay, what's elopement, right? Truly, there's it's elopement with like that mixture of impulsiveness. Like I've made a choice, I need to now like fulfill this whatever, and then
Tunnel
you
vision.
mix that with a Montessori background of like, well, I can do it myself. Strong confidence that like whatever, I know where the park is, I'll just go there, right? And it's that Montessori confidence, but it's also that lack of risk assessment or knowledge, right? That most of these kiddos have. And so I was like, okay, well then I'm gonna tap into sensorily something to help focus his brain. So the wagon came in, so he can ride in the wagon, he can push the wagon, he can pull the wagon. And all three of my kids took turns doing that when they felt like the novelty of the current situation has worn out.
Yeah.
But this boy sitting in this wagon being like, who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? And then the 6-year-old hiding his face being like,
Stop attracting the eyeballs to look. Stop.
So my takeaway of Art World was, I'm glad that we participated. And they asked to do it again the next day. And so I think like I had to tell myself as a parent, solo, right? Because I'm almost divorced.
Right.
So solo. And I didn't have anyone to come and help be a second adult.
Sometimes it's not helpful.
Sometimes it's not helpful. But really, in a situation like that, I just don't know that I would have normally made this choice. But for whatever reason, I had some false confidence. And I was like, let's do it. What's the worst that can happen? Right. I have to like throw everyone over his shoulder and stomp back to the house. So be it.
Right.
So between the wagon and the bribery of ice cream, which was a very big success. It was delicious ice cream that I got to eat a lot of because my children overthought what they could eat. And then having a goal that wasn't like going inside to actually look at art.
Yeah.
Right. We looked at stuff that was on the sidewalk, which there was a significant amount of.
Yeah.
They each got to, my 10-year-old bought 2 comic books at a bookstore nearby that had a little booth out front of their shop. And then there was an artist further down the street that like, my 6-year-old bought a keychain for $5. And it looks like a $5 handmade keychain, but he loved it and is very convinced he can resell it for $200 because it's art.
Yes.
And he promised he'd pay me my $5 back.
Oh.
And then my youngest bought a little like heart. It's so my 4-year-old. A little heart-shaped magnet with googly eyes on it.
Nice.
Painted in the because it was the same artist, painted in a similar like chaotic style.
Yeah.
But they felt pride. We did our first Art World. We met artists. We bought art, and it was like 3 seconds, and the artist was like, "Please don't touch that," and I was like, "Bitch, everything here is made out of plastic, like."
Right.
And you're selling it for $5, which means it's covering the cost of material, your time and talent, and then making a profit. So please don't come for my children because they're touching all your shit. That's at hand level.
Right.
To them.
For them. Yes. For the public. Anyone coming up.
They're children.
Yeah.
But they also look like someone who would never take the time to understand the perspective of a child.
Right.
So it's fine. They had a great time. And I think the lesson I learned there is it's always worth trying. I think the fear of the worst case scenario oftentimes keeps us from participating in enjoyable things, life.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I said, okay, the only way Art World's going to work for me, for my 3 kids, and all of their needs, right? And then my ability to keep them all safe is that we need to have a goal, which was the park. The first day was one park, the second day was another park. We need to have a goal. We need to not have time expectations. If we walked out, spent 5 minutes, walked back, that was it, and it was fine. I need to be able to solve elopement problems, and I need to be able to have access to quick something, right? Quick lemonade, quick ice cream, quick something.
Right.
So having all of those boxes checked made it successful.
For sure.
And I did it with 3 kids.
Yeah.
But I will also say that having a 10-year-old who has the ability to like hear and respond quickly, like a quicker processing speed, and being able to like kind of support his younger brothers in the way that he can, also made it very accessible.
Yeah, with him still being able to enjoy the festival as a 10-year-old.
As a 10-year-old, yeah, absolutely.
You making the comment about your 8-year-old trying to make 6.
He's 6.
That's 8.
Yeah, you just got
I'm mixing them.
Mixed matched.
So your 6-year-old trying to make $200 off of a $5 keychain has got my brain hyperfixated on my 8-year-old and his, what would you even call it? His
side hustle.
His side hustle. Sure, his side hustle. And this wasn't something I was going to talk about, but I now am.
But we have to.
I can't stop thinking about it.
Because we can't be alone.
And I haven't turned in the money yet. So I should probably do that. But my 8-year-old has come home from school multiple times with just cash. And I'm like, buddy, like I get you go to a school that the majority of the students are in situations where cash is
not really something you have to think about.
Not something you have to think about or bat an eye at. Sure. But who sends their elementary school child to school with money when lunch is all digital, there's no school store, there's no book fair going on, like nothing, okay? So a part of me is like, I'm not mad at my child for his side hustle. Like, I wish someone taught me business skills. But I know that's not how I'm supposed to look at this. I do need to turn it back in with a little note to the parents at some point before school's over. So the first chunk of change was $8. And I'm just like, oh, is this change from like something forever ago, right? Like maybe it's just in his bag because maybe I didn't empty it out.
And he jumps between two households.
Like, yeah, there's a lot going on. Oh, that's a different backpack. But yes, sure. But he's like, no, Mom. Someone paid me for mints. And I'm like a full container? Because, like, there's this whole thing with mints and gum. And it's not gum anymore because the bus driver said, not no more. It's an issue. But ever since the end of kindergarten, I have given him either gum or mints because it became this big exchange thing on the bus and at school. And he was talking to people, and he was socializing, and it all seemed positive.
Problem solving.
Until he got punched in the nose because he only gave someone 1 instead of 2. So there were some hiccups there, but...
Honestly, not a hiccup.
Sure.
Just because it's a negative outcome.
Yeah.
Just because someone got a little hurt, right? We're not talking like hospitalization.
And it's his best friend.
It's the type of social learning you can't create.
No.
It just happens, and you have to let your children experience it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it means like you're watching your kid be an absolute dick fuck, to someone on the playground, and you're like, oh damn, like you don't know you're being a dick fuck unless you do it, and then someone turns around and goes, dude, you're being a dick fuck.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I have a self-awareness moment, maybe. But like, it's gotta happen.
It's gotta happen.
It's gotta happen.
So I continue to fuel my child with containers of mint. And I'm like, 3 containers for mint for $8. Yeah, sure, whatever. And I think we're on Tic Tacs right now. And he's like, no, Mom. 3 Tic Tacs. And I'm like, wait, dude. 3 individual Tic Tacs. Yeah, Mom. $8. I'm like, oh, that poor child. Okay. Sounds good.
Child thought he got a deal. So
a couple days go by. There's a $20 bill in his bag. And I'm like, oh, Henry, what is this?
What did you offer?
Well,
for
the $20 one is a kid I know.
Mm-hmm.
And is in the same grade as them. Not that it matters if I know them or not, but like you feel a little
Sure,
more
but
pressure to return
let's ask
it
the
when you know
follow-up
them.
question everyone's thinking. Do you like this kid?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But also, is Henry the bully in this situation because of who this kid is? Because Henry's definitely taking advantage of this kid because he wouldn't understand $20 is $20. But
they're 8.
But
does any child at 8 years old truly understand monetary value?
No, absolutely not.
Probably not.
Who sends their kid to school with $20?
Look, this is the real investigative process now. Who is sending like I'm trying to put myself in a situation like, hey, so here's $20 for your field trip?
Nope.
Here's $20 for lunch?
Nope.
Because everything's electronic.
Everything's electronic.
What are you doing with $20?
Dude.
You know what he's doing with $20? He was like,
buying one Tic Tac. Not a container, y'all. One singular Tic Tac.
Let me tell you, that Tic Tac was the
it must have been real good. I wonder what color it was, because we usually buy the like mixed fruit ones.
I tell you, it wasn't an orange one.
Probably not. Probably not.
No one paid $20
Wasn't the
for an
strawberry
orange
cream? They came out with strawberry cream. Disgusting. Anyway, so not really happy about this. So I talked to him and I'm like, buddy, we can't be doing this. Well, long and behold, his friend comes over and his mom mentions like, hey, we've got some swindling stuff going on. And I'm like, okay, it's not just my child. And I love his best friend. He's amazing. But I went to then inform his mom about the $20 for 1 mint because it's the most, almost the most extreme thing that has happened so far. So I went to explain it, and before I could even finish what I was saying, both boys start cracking up like it's the funniest thing ever. Mention the kid's name, mention like how cool it was, and I'm just like, okay, this went from side hustle to you're really taking advantage.
And this is what's that movie? What's that mob movie? It's like a mobster movie where it's like a group of kids that then become adults and anyway.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Makes me think of that.
Yeah.
Or any 90s kid.
Any 90s kid movie.
Right?
Any of them.
Yeah.
Because you needed cash back then.
You really did. And if you
had... Not $20.
Right.
I
think about the things you did.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's another reason why I'm like, do I return it or do I not return it? Because I should. As a parent, I should.
Lessons learned across the board.
But I don't know. If any of you have an opinion, let me know.
I mean, there's one part of me, I have many parts of myself. One part of me is like, okay, so now you take this 8-year-old with the $20 and you walk his ass over to this boy's house and he knocks on the door and he explains what happened and apologizes, right? Teaches accountability, blah, blah, blah. But this isn't just a typical kid. So you probably have like flaring his anxiety, demand avoidance, like I'm now perceiving threat, like I'm terrified.
Yeah.
There's no lessons being learned because he's in a dysregulated state. He's not using his upstairs brain, right?
Nope.
He's completely in fight, flight, or freeze mode, right? So like there's that one part of me that's like, you have to demand justice. You have to because that's what parenting is. And then there's the other part of me who is evolved.
Yeah.
And has learned more and has healed a lot of child wounds from my childhood, and I say to myself, okay, it's definitely got to be a conversation, right? And this is a great opportunity to talk about practice putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
Practice considering why did you think that was so easy to do?
Right.
What do you think is going on for this kid?
Right.
What's behind the behavior? What's behind the action, right? And really having multiple conversations about it, and then giving your 8-year-old the opportunity to say what feels right to you.
Right.
Maybe it's not returning it. Maybe it's donating it. Maybe it's I don't know.
Right.
But then allowing your 8-year-old to make the choice of, well, I'm keeping it. And that doesn't feel good, right, to anybody.
Right.
But it's the choice that they're gonna make.
Right.
And there's a consequence to that choice too.
Mm-hmm.
So you almost have to like be a guide.
Yeah.
You're guiding them through
absolutely.
the decision. You're guiding them through the thought process. You're building skills
Mm-hmm.
in a non-threatening, supportive environment
Mhm.
because where else are you?
Right.
Right? And I don't think it allows for criminal behavior. I don't think that it's going to be a gateway drug to juvie.
Right.
You know,
No.
But at the same time, you're building critical thinking skills
Mhm.
in a real life situation that happened, that then hopefully the next time there's that situation that presents itself, he says, you can't give me $20 for one Tic Tac, because he has a lived experience now
Right.
that he can draw upon. And I think a lot of those situations are so difficult for our kiddos to
Right.
learn and build skills around, because you can't make a visual for it.
No.
You can make a social story, but it's different.
It's so different when you're in the moment, because that's that executive function piece. Like, you're
Yes.
just gonna, and he's determined, and before this even started, he had snuck some of my cash into his room and hid it. And his reasoning was because his best friend needs $200. I'm sorry, nobody needs $200.
I mean, he might need $200, but that ain't
But it's
my
not
job.
it's not
or
our
my
responsibility.
problem.
So I wonder, so there's, anyway,
I'm also going to tell my nephew that I need $200.
I
so
personally-
he can help me out.
cool. He'll say,
I need to fund my
he'll
Labubu
say
session.
you gotta start providing me with some containers of Tic Tacs, and I got you.
Done deal. Dollar stores got a lot for me.
My biggest concern in this situation, outside of me and my money, like, that's been handled, but my biggest concern in the social piece is, because my 8-year-old's been on the side of being bullied.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so hard as a parent when you're not physically at school, physically by the so to even know, right? Like, he's come home. I've gotten phone calls, obviously, but anyway, doesn't matter. He's been on that side. I do not want him to be on the other side, whether it's influenced by his peers or not, because neither one is okay, obviously. But, like, if he's taking advantage of younger students, if he's taking advantage of other kids like himself, or just anyone, I don't want him to have character traits that do not come from my gene pool. Because I don't, right? Like, I don't want him to be the bully. I don't want him to be that. Like, that's my biggest piece.
Yes.
And the last $5 he recently made, before I even opened his bag to check if he has homework, he said, "Mom, you're going to be upset, but there's $5 in there." I was like, "Oh,
Okay.
all right."
Okay. Yep.
And he was like, this kid really wanted to give me $5 because he wanted to sit by me on the bus.
Okay.
Not sure if that's true.
Sure.
I love my son. I do think he's cool as fuck. I don't know if I'd pay $5 to sit by him on the bus.
Well,
but
yes.
you never know.
Continue. Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. I got absolutely something to comment on.
Oh,
on that one.
then go ahead.
So here's the thing. So let's talk about demand avoidance.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I like, if something was going to be my new obsession, it's this. Demand avoidance.
Helps me on a daily basis.
And the reason why I'm so obsessed is because it unlocks so much of my own childhood and the way that I operate as an adult. The better I understand this condition, right, or this response, it almost feels like the way your nervous system or the way your body responds. Right?
Yep.
And so it has made so many things make sense for me personally. But if you think about, like, again, you're looking behind the words, behind the behavior. You're going to be upset, but this kid really wanted to sit by me on the bus and gave me $5. So what is he trying to craft to be in control of the response?
I was just about to say that, because 100%. If I control how this happens, I'm anticipating and I'm able to then prep my body, prep my mind for what's about to happen.
Yes. Yes.
1,000%.
So
my child.
then what it should do then for the adult in that situation when you're conversing with a child and you realize that might be happening is you stop what you're doing and you say, how did I respond the last time? How did I respond the time before then? Why is the anticipation that I'm going to be upset, and what does upset mean to my child? Like, what does that look like on my body to my child?
Right.
And you have to understand that children and adults who have demand avoidance, it doesn't have to be big. Oftentimes it's the way your eyes look. It's the slight shift in your tone, your body language. It's like such subtle things that are
Flare.
as loud as being screamed at.
Absolutely.
And then when you think about like children or adults who then have a history of those extremes, it sends you in that direction immediately, right? So it's not, it's there is this quite messy. So then you don't take the reason literally.
Right.
And I've done this a few times with my 10-year-old where you say, okay, great.
Yep.
You had someone that wanted to sit next to you that bad? Wow. Must be an amazing friend. So you're going along with it.
Yep.
You're maybe giving them a positive reinforcement in a way that makes them not feel like they need to tense up, right?
Right.
So you get them back into their regulated brain, and then you say things like, so let's just say maybe that wasn't the reason.
Right.
Just to like play out another story. Because I heard once this kid named Charlie who like got $5 from this kid named Stephanie, and you create another story that maybe is a little bit closer to the truth.
Sure.
And then you talk about separate from this person. You talk it out, and then you prove to them that your reaction isn't going to be what they think it's going to be, and then it's okay. And then you're building a safe space to be able to speak honestly.
Right. Well,
you're building trust.
Well, and with all of this, it's been, and this is where having too many parents in the pot makes it hard.
Which you absolutely do, girl.
But this whole money situation has been 100% me and him.
Sure.
And I have let everyone else know, like, it's been talked about. We're approaching it the way we're approaching it. If it becomes something more, we can all converse together. But I made it a point to be like, I've got this one because of that right there. Because him being like, hey, I know you're going to be mad.
Yeah.
Because he knows that if it becomes big enough,
it's going to involve other
it's
people.
going to involve his dad.
Yeah.
And dad lays down the hammer.
Yeah.
So it has been nice, selfishly, to be able to continue to build
to be
that
the singular
work
message
and
that
to be,
he's receiving.
Yeah, and it might look different, and that's okay because I still see growth in how all of this has happened. And quite frankly, if the kid really did give him money to sit with him, like we did talk about, like how, sometimes just being like, hey, sure, come sit with me, and like, because you would want the same thing. Like it was just fantastic. He's just I feel like he opens up a lot more since I have just been very clear, like, hey, this is a me-you conversation. Let's play it out. Let's see what happens. Because how are we supposed to see that side of him if he just bottles it up?
I mean, I think the evidence of that is so very clear at this point in time, because I think what we're seeing is a whole generation of adults who are now parents and caregivers who were raised with sort of a parental system that was based on like, I can control you through fear and shame, and
expect obedience,
right? And we've talked, this isn't the first time we've talked about this, but like, you know, and then there was this like weird upset. Why does my teenager not talk to me? Why does my teenager not trust me when I say I just want to keep you safe? Well, you didn't build that trust.
No.
You didn't build that trust, and you didn't develop a relationship where if something's going on in my life that is scary or confusing or messy
or big and exciting even.
Or even big and exciting, truly. I don't have that adult, that trusted adult, that secure attachment.
Right.
To come to you and know that I can share those things and I'm not going to be punished for it.
Right.
And it starts small.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we always like see it as clearly as possible, but it starts as small as like, you know, your 2-year-old doing something kind of shifty and shady, and you're like, who pooped in the corner?
Right.
And they're like, was the cat? Silly cat. We don't poop in corners.
Right.
We poop in the toilet or in the litter box, and you leave it be. You don't shame them.
No.
You're lying to me. Blah blah blah. Like you know what I mean? Like blah, 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 blah. You don't have to do all that. And you're not raising spoiled children. You're raising self-aware children.
Right.
You're raising children who can experiment with lying and manipulation and bullying and all of those things with their caregivers, with their parents who are their safe person.
Right. That can help guide them.
Help them understand.
So then,
like, that's not like morally that's not good.
Right.
Or like we can't like we can't do that.
Right.
Doesn't mean that it's void of consequences. Absolutely not. But like, I think it should look collaborative, and I think it should look like lessons you're learning, skills that you are building across the board. And this isn't just for neurodivergent children. No. This is for all the children.
Right.
And really, all them adults. I mean, really. So I think, you know, in general, in this whole conversation about the festival, Art World, like going out and about with your kids, I think really at its core is just about trying and not setting expectations and looking at maybe failed experiences as opportunities to get to know yourself, your children, and what makes something non-inclusive. Yeah. Because I think it's okay to like try it out and then be like, oh, here are the 5 ways they could have made this a lot better. And then when you go to look at more experiences to bring your kids to, you have those 5 things to say, are they present? Because if they're not present, it's not going to be successful. And then you get to decide, are those 5 things something I can bring with me, add to, or create some change and give them a call and be like, hey, if your festival had these 5 things, my children could come and participate, and not just my children, but a whole community of people. So if you want to like get your DEI on, if you want to like include more than just a certain group of people, here's 5 really easy ways you could do it right now.
Yeah. So. And most of it is just thinking outside the box and adding a few more sprinkles.
But this is also where like bringing to the table a diverse group of people that bring multiple perspectives is so important, because one of those people is going to say, but what about like a child that's in a wheelchair? Yep. Or what about, you know,
and not be met with, well, you can't make everyone happy.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
I'm very confident.
I've heard that
you can make everyone
a few times. I'm always like,
you can make everyone happy.
But you could be. Anyway, that's
because the person that you're still gonna piss off after all of that should just stay home anyway. We all know that person.
We all know
they can stay home.
Anyway,
all right.
But as we broach summer, we're going to have a lot of adventures.
We are, so we'll check in on all the different things we try to do. Soccer's on our docket, so I will report back about what soccer's all about.
Yeah, we just wrapped up with flag football, so we can throw that in.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, maybe we do a sports episode.
Ooh. Why not? Never thought I'd have a sports kid, but here we're going.
All right. Anyway, we have to wrap it up because we just have to wrap it up. But we promise more episodes will be coming your way, and we will be on top of it for this season 2. But in the meantime, this was Jessica.
And this was Jennifer.
And this was the Behavioral Plan Podcast.